Hello and welcome to this new edition of the Foojay Podcast. This is our second stop of the Java User Group World Tour, and we are in Dubai.
Welcome to the Foojay Podcast, all your news about OpenJDK.
Last month, we introduced a new topic in this podcast when we visited the Manchester Java User Group. That JUG already exists nearly 10 years, so they had a lot of history to share. Today, I'm talking to the organizer of the Dubai JUG that started in May of 2022. Let's learn what the challenges are for a new JUG.
Hello, Frank. Thank you. Hello, everyone. All the listeners, thank you for having me. Honestly, it's very exciting considering we're starting a new JUG. My name is Jad Salhani. I'm not to say, the founder, but basically the main organizer in Dubai of the Dubai JUG. I'm originally a software engineer for the past, it's been like 10 years now. I'm in the business. I've turned now more to open source software architecture and all things around sharing knowledge, basically. So that's where the Dubai JUG kind of falls in my life as part of the things I love to do. We started the JUG, like you said, in May. That was where the spark happened, and it happened very quickly. So I'll tell you that story later. And I'm basically using my experience, and I currently work in consulting, so my connections as well, to try to increase the Java community in the Middle East and specifically in the UAE in Dubai.
And I'm Frank Delporte. I'm the host for this podcast. I'm technical writer at Azul and doing Java development for over 10 years. You said you started this JUG. Why were you interested in starting a JUG in Dubai?
Actually, it's a very funny story. So it all started end of 2021 at JITEX, if you know it, which is one of the biggest kind of tech sales conferences. That's where I met Azul. Since I'm, an old-time Java fan since Java 1.4, I was kind of happy to learn about Azul and what they do in terms of the JVM and all that. It was new to me, at least in the region. So after I got to know them, they got to tell me that they also do lots of workshops and trainings, and I always had the dream to kind of build the community, or at least support the community wherever I am. And for those who don't know, in the Middle East, the development communities are very shy. So it's not at all like you see in Europe or in the United States or any other country where there's a meetup every 2 days. It's very difficult to find, developers, very difficult to find meetups of technologies you like. And surprisingly, there was no meetup for Java at all. Eventually, we kind of agreed that the Dubai JUG is something they can help me start, and they would like to start as well to support. So we kind of jumped ship and say, we're going to start the Dubai JUG. Why not? That was the trigger to me now maintaining or managing this Dubai JUG in the UAE and trying to grow this community, which is having a lot of hidden fans, I would say, in terms of developers and software engineers.
You say that the developers are shy. Is it a big number of developers that you have in that region?
There is a big number of developers. Yes, there's a lot of people that move from India, because the UAE is kind of the closest country, so there's a lot of software engineers here. There's a lot of people also kind of locals, since there's the initiative from the government to kind of push software engineering and development as a national program in a sense. So there's a target from the government themselves to kind of support 100,000 coders, right? Or even 1 million coders, I don't recall. So there's a lot of numbers. It's increasing. The idea of open source community, open community knowledge sharing is not something familiar in this region, at least. So they're all new to the idea of attending talks on Saturdays and sacrificing their weekends for a technical meetup and all these things. So that's one of the challenges we face actually for our sessions.
So I can imagine that it will also be challenging to find local speakers, people who want to stand up and really come in front of an audience and talk about their passion or their specialty.
It's funny because I work at PwC Middle East, which is PricewaterhouseCoopers, which is one of the big 4 companies, consulting and all that. And with me, there's around 100 architects and Java experts daily. And whenever I ask them, like, hey guys, anyone wants to, do a session for an upcoming JUG, I get like 0 replies. So it's interesting that they talk all day to clients, but whenever they want it, they ask to share knowledge. There's just zero communication. They shut up and hide. That's an example of how shy people are.
Yeah, that was one of my questions. What will be the biggest challenge for you to organize this JUG? So I think we've already found one, is finding local speakers.
That's one big challenge. Yes, definitely. Because, I mean, obviously we're starting fresh, so we don't have, unfortunately, a big budget to kind of always bring all the European experts from the countries to Dubai. It's kind of a faraway trip. But another big challenge was getting people to actually come to the JUG. Actually, so the first JUG that we had, there was a lot of support from Azul to get speakers coming in, give great talks, and we had great topics lined up. But we had one attendee to our JUG. So we had 6 speakers and one attendee basically in the room, which was funny. We were basically pitching the talks to each other in a sense. That's the biggest challenge I would say here, is to get people to first kind of sacrifice their time for a technical meetup, which is not something they're used to. And second, even the companies here themselves to allow their employees to attend these meetups without kind of penalizing them. They don't believe in it much that, okay, you're going to go benefit from a technical meetup, for example. So that's the biggest, I would say, issue or biggest challenge we have in the region currently.
Like last month, talked to the Manchester JUG. They have over 1,000 members in Meetup. So I think that's definitely something you're building on.
I would love to see this number one day. I currently have, I think, 80 in Meetup, but 10 who attend. So, 1/8 of the population, but it's still something.
Yeah, that's something noticeable, is the difference in culture of visiting this kind of talks to learn. I was at some conferences lately and people come to me and say, yeah, I didn't know that Java evolved so much in the last years. And by coming to this conference, I learned about that. I think that's exactly what the JUG tries to do, is keeping people up to date, telling them what has changed, what new technologies, frameworks, evolutions are available. So yeah, there's definitely a big challenge for you to spread this message.
There's a lot of ground to cover, but I mean, evidently you need an audience, right, to kind of not waste the talks and the talk potential. So we're trying. I mean, we're trying.
And maybe with this podcast, we can help in spreading this message.
Definitely. Yeah. People will hear the story, maybe get excited.
And the sessions that you already organized, so you had speakers for long sessions, over an hour, that kind of talks?
The second one, which was for me the official first, had around 18 attendees actually, which was a good number. And our sessions were around, I think, 45 to 1 hour long. We tried to do 2 to 3 sessions each meetup, depending on the length, of course, and whether there's a workshop or not, and with a break in between, time for socializing, people meeting each other, because that's a big part of the culture here, that people attend these meetups to meet new people, maybe even explore job opportunities or kind of new career contacts. So we try to put that, give that its respective time basically to people to enjoy it.
Yeah, that's what I learned already from other JUGs, that the part after the JUG can sometimes be more important than the talks.
Exactly.
Actually during the JUG. Yeah, being it for social interaction or getting to know about job opportunities. Indeed, that are the most valid things. The Java developer group, you say, there are quite some developers in Dubai. Are those most young people, more experienced people?
There's a mix, definitely. We've had a lot of young people who, I mean, they're young in age, but not young in experience, as far as I've seen. So they've worked with Java extensively with the latest features, Spring Boot, Hibernate, things like that, the basic REST API development, and they're very excited to learn more from experts. And I've also had actually one attendee, which is around 60 or 70 years old, and he was basically working with Java when it was still, Java server pages and Java facets and around Java 1.2 or something like that. And it was the first programming languages he learned. And he attended actually the second meetup, and he stayed, the whole 3 hours, was very interested. So that kind of made me happy to see that we were still appealing to people who kind of recognize Java as one of the development pillars, I would say. But yeah, there's a mix, definitely. A lot of people are also team leads who are trying to expand their horizons, so they're around the 30s, 40s. But yeah, it's a good mix of the audience so far.
And for education, what kind of education opportunities are there in Dubai? Are there a lot of universities, and do they focus on Java?
There's a lot of software development courses definitely in universities. There's a standard, computer science and software engineering graduates as well. But the focus here is mostly outside of university, actually, at least in terms of development and software engineering and all that. Because, like I said, the program is backed by the government to increase the number of coders in the country in general. So there's a lot of initiatives, there's a lot of conferences, there's a lot of hackathons that are organized. The funny thing is that these events kind of get a lot of people attending. So I'm not sure what we're missing to get the same amount of people to attend the JUGs. Maybe because they're commercial or they're backed by big companies. I think that might be one of the things, and also because they're kind of supported by the government. And just on that, I've been trying to use my affiliation to one of the government programs to boost the JUG a bit more as well.
What are the plans for your next events?
It's the end of the year. We had, I think, our last JUG for the year at the end of November. The plan would be to have one when we get back, so around mid or end of January, when everyone is back from their holidays. Maybe in a bit more organized fashion, I would say, with a bit more boost to, bring people in. Definitely, we have already 10 or 15 people, which are regular attendees, I would say, to the limited sessions we have, but they're kind of inside the community now. So hopefully by then they would have also gotten a bit more time to bring their friends and get to the meetup. So yeah, that's a bit the plan moving forward, at least the short range plan. In terms of long range, maybe kind of push towards getting some companies to, attend the meetup, give a bit of support. That's a bit of the culture problem here, where they don't usually attend stuff unless it's backed by Google or Amazon or Microsoft or whatever. So, which was actually proven once I did one of the meetups in the PwC offices. We had like 22 attendees. So big names bring people, unfortunately, in the region. So we're gonna try to see if we can find a mix that kind of makes sense, at least for this JUG to boost.
Yeah, and also I have the feeling that if a JUG is organized at a company, that you get a lot of attendees from that company. Either they feel obliged to come, that's also a possibility, or it's just easier because they are already there working, and then they see that the JUG will happen there, and they can just stay for it.
Yeah, exactly.
You were mentioning something about boosting the JUG more?
This region isn't like other standard countries or regions, I would say, where if you put a meetup, you'll get 25 people no matter what, right? It's very technical oriented, but only in the workplace or in the business sense, right? Nobody, for sure, everyone wants to learn and increase their skills and all that, but they're not used to expressing that and kind of doing it out in the open. And that's why I say developers are shy in the region, right? Because I've had a lot of feedback, and I tend to ask all the new joiners, how did you hear about the JUG? Why did you come, etc. And most of the feedback was that I came to Dubai. There was no community. Every few weeks, I go to meet up and search for Java, and then I finally found that you guys existed. So that's one of the feedback. Another feedback is that they want a place to expand their knowledge, learn more outside of the work that they spend, and they don't mind sacrificing their Saturdays, for example, to attend a talk or two. So, but they just need the push to kind of convince them that this is worth it. Basically, this is worth the time. Because the country itself is very work-oriented. You don't have much time for yourself. It's a 9-hour work day usually for normal companies, private companies. So people kind of value their few hours on the weekends. There's family time on Sunday, etc. So you need something to kind of hook them and basically, yes, this is the JUG. It's part of my life now, or part of my schedule, and I can attend it, without worry, in a sense.
Are you supported by your company as an organizer?
Yes, actually, the second JUG, which I mentioned I did in the PwC offices, they were very supportive, mostly because I convinced them it'll bring them lots of publicity as, supporter of the community and all that. But we were able to use, the big office, bring kind of a good dinner for the attendees, even get the budget for a few speakers to fly into Dubai to kind of give their talks. So that the guys in the community liked that very much. And at the same time, it gave a kind of a new face to the company in terms of supporting development and the software engineering community. So it's a win-win for everyone.
That community feeling is very important there. And I have the feeling, like in Belgium, that this feeling still lives. But yeah, a lot of JUGs struggled from COVID. They have to refine their community and their members. And some people changed job, went into a different direction. So I think a lot of JUGs are also struggling to restart, to reboot after that long period of going offline and not having any real life talks anymore.
Yeah, definitely.
That's a problem you don't have. he started from zero. So
funnily enough, the problem is that when you try to tell people to give some time for a remote talk, they don't do it anymore because now everything is face to face. Everyone wants to fly out and give talks now. So it's like, but why? You were doing it for the past 2 years. You can do it one more time. So that's the con of things.
I was at Devox, for instance, and it was tremendous how many people there were, and tickets got sold out in 10 minutes. So yeah, also the visitors want to go to live talks again and see the people in real life.
Yeah, it's definitely a different experience rather than kind of thank you guys and logging off, right? You can talk to the speaker, you can interact, see the expressions more, meet the people with you in the session. So it's definitely a much better experience than the whole remote that we were having.
A lot of other JUGs start doing side activities like training speakers, new speakers, even organize conferences. I think that's not directly on your schedule yet.
It would be nice to go and organize a conference, but you need people to believe you and attend it, right? We have it as a kind of a high level target to have a conference. Not sure which one, not sure which type, what are the details exactly. But definitely it's a target. And the problem also with the region that there's a lot of conferences, fake conferences. I mean, it's Dubai, it's the land of money and fake money and crypto and all these things. So people have lost trust in almost everything if it's not kind of verified. So definitely it's a challenge, and we'll need support from big players to kind of make it happen, or at least give it credibility. But side activities are something that I've been thinking about. Maybe do kind of, like you said, speaker sessions, and even kind of do things like open discussions, just, a panel or kind of an open table where everyone round table sits around and just discusses. It doesn't have to be specific workshops or anything. Mm-hmm. Just to kind of build the community wall, the community foundations, and make people interact and not be afraid to pitch their ideas. Because I know there are people with 10, 15 years of experience, but they barely look you in the eyes. And these people need to be the ones giving the talks eventually, the local speakers. So yeah, we need to work on them, definitely.
You mentioned already that actually some people of Azul inspired you to start this JUG.
So yeah, it's a funny story actually. I basically had it in mind to kind of do something in the community, but it was never fully concrete, or I was never fully, believing in myself. I don't know what was the problem. What happened? The guys from Azul were here. They were giving him a tour actually of the new PwC office. And we were talking about a few collaborations on Java. And we went out for dinner with also a few people from the government of Dubai. And over dinner, we were discussing about communities and all that, and what we should do to kind of do something in Dubai and make an impact. And then I remember Hilton was like, "Yeah, let's do the JUG. Let's do it." We're like, "What? What do you mean?" He's like, "Yeah, let's do Dubai JUG. Let's have a meetup. Who cares? We'll bring speakers. We'll do everything. Why not? Let's just kick it off." And so basically, that's how the Dubai JUG was kicked off over a dinner. It was the beginning of March, and then we had the talk 2-3 weeks after. And what's more funny is that we were all pushing because we had supposedly this government entity's support, but in the end, they stole the speakers for their own session and didn't bring us any attendees. So that's why my JUG had eventually one
Yeah.
attendee for it. But yeah, it's still a funny story when you think about it, how it began. It shows you that things can just start magically and then live on their own.
And we have an extra guest as Chris Thalinger also joined this call.
I'm in the Java world for a very, very long time. I started to work for Sun Microsystems back in 2009. And then I was just working on Java, the platform. And specifically, I was working on the JIT compilers in the JVM. So that's how I got into the whole thing. I did a lot of Java-related JVM work before at the university, got involved in GNU ClassPath, if you still remember that. And then when OpenJDK was released, then I got involved in that. And then later I worked for Oracle, still doing Java work. And then later I worked for Twitter, because Twitter is running on the JVM. It's using Scala, but it's running on the JVM, so the Java platform. And I did a lot of compiler work there as well, a lot of performance work with Graal and so on. So
if I'm correct, you moved from Hawaii to Dubai, or you are moving?
Not directly, but I'm actually not in Dubai right now. I'm in Europe and it's snowy outside, so that's kind of nice. I'm thinking about moving to Dubai. We'll see. First I need a visa and all that, the organizational stuff. The JUG, I'm not really involved. Let's put it that way. I just came in late. It was a funny story. I was in Morocco at that time at Devoxx Morocco, like a big Java conference of the Devoxx family, and I was thinking at that time moving to Dubai, but I hadn't decided yet. And I was then having a conversation with someone, and we were joking around, and we said, "Oh, Devoxx Dubai, that would ring, right? That has a nice ring to it." And then I talked to a few other people, and then I bumped into Mark Hazel, one of the Devoxx people, and I said, what would be funny, Devoxx Dubai? And then he told me that Bader, who is the organizer of Devoxx Morocco, wanted to do a VoxxedDays Dubai, which is like the smaller version of the Devoxx brand, in Dubai already in 2016. But I didn't know that. So he never told me about this. And then I talked to Bader and said, hey, I was thinking about going to Dubai. Maybe we should do it now. And he said, yeah, let's do it. And then we were looking into, okay, what is in Dubai, like in terms of Java community? Is there anything? And then just 2 months before, whatever that was, or even 1 month before, this Dubai JUG was created. And we thought, who's that? Who created that, right? And Gert-Jan, his name was, I didn't know Chad back then. And Gert-Jan, his name came up, and I thought, oh, I know him, let me contact him. He got me in touch with Jad, and that's how it came to be. I'm just, as I said, I'm not really helping out with the JUG. It's Jad's thing. I'm just there.
That's how communities are built, eh? Coincidence.
Yeah, really. That's what drives life, right? Coincidence, and a little bit of luck.
Yeah, that's coincidence. How things, seem to click together at some point. Eh? You had the idea, Jad already started with the JUG, and then the conference come into the picture. So that's how things happen indeed. Jad already explained that it's quite a challenge to get the people of Dubai to a JUG, and even more challenging to get them to speak even. You have any ideas how you could influence that?
Jad and I, we talked in Dubai about this. It's difficult. It really is. I mean, one thing that I've learned in Dubai, and I was only there for, like, earlier this year I was there for 2 months, and then now I was there for like 5 weeks or something, because it's such a big thing right now, and it's Dubai and blah blah blah. So another speaker I know from a Java conference, he said, "Oh, I'm speaking at a conference in Dubai," and I said, "Oh, that's cool, And he gave me a ticket, and then I stopped by, and it was a crypto conference, like a Web3 conference. So the Web3 stuff and the crypto stuff works really well in Dubai. So I attended the conference and then a meetup, and there are lots and lots of people. So it is possible. It's just a question of how to mobilize and find these people. And unfortunately, I don't have an answer to that yet. So I don't know exactly how we reach the people, because I think the problem is a little bit the same problem that a conference has, no matter what it is. People have their lives, their day-to-day job and their family life and this and that. And Dubai, from what I can tell, it reminds me a little bit of Silicon Valley to some degree, because it's like it's so diverse. So people from all over the world, and they're so tied up in their work that they think going to the conference has no purpose, right? There's nothing in it for me. And I think that's a little bit the issue, to convince, because if you go to a conference, and we've all been there, I mean, you and me and Jad, I guess, once you go, you realize, oh, this is really good, right? You learn something, you meet people. The one thing that I always said about conferences, why I think they're so important and why people should go at least once a year, I always said they should go at least twice a year, is because you get a little numb to your job, right? You do your work all the time, but every now and then you need a little bit of a lift up, so to say, right? You go to a conference and you hear about all these new technologies and whatnot, and you think, oh, this is really cool. This is really cool. I should try this, right? And so that's really the purpose of a conference, in my opinion. And then there's also the networking, and you get to know people and this and that. And then once people realize that, they go, right? They want to go because they know, oh, this was good last year, and we should go again. And a JUG is similar, right? It's just a very small version of a conference. And we just have to get people to come, because then they will realize, oh, this is good for me. This is meaningful. How we do that, as I said, I don't know yet. I also have a theory a little bit, which might be wrong. But my theory is, because Dubai is so diverse, that it's difficult to build a community, right? If you are in a small country, let's say Belgium or whatnot, I mean, it's not that small, but it's small. Yeah, sure. But it's mostly the same people, right? They've worked there for a very long time. You switch companies, people from everywhere, and then it's a little bit easier. In Dubai, everybody comes and is there for a year or 2 or 3, or maybe for a long time then, but it's still so new and everything's so diverse that I think that's a little bit of an issue.
As Jad said, you already have 15 regulars, the people who came to the last sessions.
Yeah.
I think they will also be critical in spreading the love for this community and this new JUG, and bringing people with them.
Chris said an important point. A lot of people think of Dubai as a stop in their life rather than a destination, right? So there are people who say, I'm going to come here for 2 years, 3 years, whatever, make money, and then leave. So they don't care about giving time for a JUG or a community or whatever. And the ones who are here long enough know that, or maybe not know, but they're used to that it doesn't lead anywhere, maybe, or they're not used to this type of community being there, so they don't give it much attention. So and that what kind of enforces that is that most of the people that we had attendees were people who just arrived to Dubai, and they just arrived, they Googled on Meetup, they searched on Meetup, Java community, and they found us and they attended. So a lot of them were fresh blood, I would say, to the country and to the community.
A JUG can actually be pretty important for your career. So to learn new things, to be updated of new technology, get into contact with other people, all things that the JUG can contribute to.
As Jad said, a lot of them were new people in Dubai, so they don't know a lot of other software developers yet, right? So it's spreading the word makes that a little more difficult. So the question is, how do we get to the core of the people, right? I don't know yet. As I've already said like 3 times now. Maybe the right path is to actually reach out to the big companies and find the Java developers there. As a little side story, maybe when I lived in Hawaii, it's a similar problem. In Hawaii, there are multiple issues in Hawaii, but the two main issues are the people who live there, because Hawaii has relatively good universities and computer science departments and so on. So there are people. Hawaii is very small, so that's a bit of an issue. So if you would, and I tried that, if you would build up a Java conference and a Java community, that's difficult because it's too small. Mm-hmm. But you can go broad, right? You just say, oh, we have a meetup for whatever it is, or then later what I did was I did an unconference in Hawaii, because an unconference you can talk about whatever you want, mm-hmm. right? It doesn't matter. That worked pretty good, the last one we had, but that was, I think, March 2020, so right before the pandemic, and then the pandemic hit, and then that went away. So the other issue that Hawaii has is maybe a little bit as Dubai. People go there because they let's say they think they like it, and they do like it, right? But they don't stay for a long time. So one of the things that before I moved to Hawaii that I learned is local people who live there, it's very hard to become friends with them, like true friends, mm-hmm. because they know the people will leave again. And so that might be a little bit of a problem in Dubai as well.
Jad, you're from Dubai?
I wish, but no. I would have loved to be a local Emirati, but I'm not. I'm originally Lebanese and immigrated to Dubai, like most of the country, because of all the problems happening there, which we don't have to get into. Mm-hmm. But I've been here for 2 years now. And I personally, I mean, again, speaking as an expat myself, I personally love the country, but then again, you can't know if you're staying here your whole life or not. So especially that, unlike European countries, there's no passport involved. You don't get a residency, which will help your life get better or whatever. It's just you stay here until, as long as you're working, otherwise you're out. And it is true that it's difficult to get close to locals. Actually, because it's a bit the same here. They know that expats are their own community and locals are their own communities. They're not much interaction.
And that's maybe something that the Java user group can help to build a new type of community there and keep people longer in the country.
Definitely, I would love to see. People coming in from all residency years, to old people in Dubai, new people in Dubai, intermediate people in Dubai, kind of into one group, sharing the knowledge.
We already shortly discussed about extending the JUG to side activities like training the speaker and maybe a conference. Chris, you mentioned something about VoxxedDays?
As I said earlier, Zobada wanted to do this already a while ago, and so we said, okay, maybe this is the sign, right? The coincidence. Let's do it. And he's very excited about it. So you should get him on the podcast at some point. So he wants to do it immediately, and he would like to do it next May. I think that was. He said after Ramadan, because he said that's the best time to do it. I trust him on that because he's Arabic, so he knows the culture a little bit better than I do. We've announced that we would do it in May. I hope we can do it. The first edition will definitely be small, right? It's just the growing pains you have when you start a conference. The best conferences might not be entirely true, but very successful conferences came out of very successful JUGs. Because you already have the people, right? Mm-hmm. You tell them, hey, we actually now bring international speakers, and then you have 2-3 days of fun, and people say, yeah, okay, let's go. We don't have that. That's why we start small. And Dubai is a little bit of a destination, right? A hub in the Middle East, so that might make it easier. It could potentially be possible that even people fly in from other places. We'll see about that. First and foremost, it's for the local people, right? That's how it should be. So we'll try to do it. We haven't decided yet on the exact date. There's no CFP open yet, although people ask us all the time, so where's the CFP? Where's the CFP? We will not have issues getting speakers in. That's for sure, right? Because everybody wants to come. especially first edition in Dubai, VoxxedDays, everybody wants to come. So speakers, we can get the best ones we want. We just need the people to come. So spreading the word is probably key here. I know that Dubai, Abu Dhabi, I'm not sure if we can get them involved because we're not doing it there, but they have budget for events, right? And especially the IT industry is up and coming in Dubai, as it's been for a couple of years now. So Dubai is very interested to get smart, intelligent people to the country. So maybe we can leverage that a bit, and then we'll see.
Sounds like a promising year, 2023.
I hope so. Yeah,
let's hope so. And let's hope that this podcast maybe help you to attract new people to the JUG and the VoxxedDays.
There's a Twitter account. I think it's called Vox Dubai, if I remember correctly. As I said, there's not a lot. The website is not even up yet, so we got to work on that. But if people are interested in that, then they can follow the Twitter account for now, and then once we know more, we'll just post it there. If Twitter still exists back then.
That's the big question, but of course we have the mastodon of foojay.social.
Exactly.
A bit of marketing in between. So yeah, that's a good remark. Where can people find you? So we have the meetup where you can subscribe for the events. There is the VoxxedDay on Dubai on Twitter. Are there other links that we could mention and that we can add to the show notes that people can easily find you?
Also the Dubai JUG on Twitter. Dubai JUG is the account.
Okay, I will add these at the notes of this podcast. Okay, thanks a lot. Thanks for the nice talk. I learned a lot again. Was happy to visit Dubai, although it was virtually. Maybe one day, maybe VoxxedDays.
Hopefully one day we'll have you in our JUGs.
Yes, maybe. Okay, thanks a lot. Have a nice day. Thank you for listening to this podcast. Keep an eye on Foojay for all your news about Java, the GVM, and all related technologies. Thank you.
Give me a foo, give me a J, give me the friends of OpenJDK.